Having defined this Boolean variable, now it's time for us to set up a while loop. Now remember, as I told you, while loop is a powerful tool for us when we want to repeat some piece of code without knowing upfront how many times we are going to repeat it. I'm just going to write the code first and talk about it in a moment. So I just say here, for example, while not done, I put a colon here, and the moment I click and enter, notice there's an indentation created. I say, for example, guess is say int of say input, guess the number. Now remember that input by itself returns a string. We are converting that to an integer, which means our guess, the variable guess here, is going to be an integer. Because of this int, we are converting this to an int. Now the point here is that this statement will get repeated while this condition here is true. Now notice here in the beginning we have set done to false, which means that not done, as we saw here, is actually true. And what we are saying is that while this stays true, keep doing this thing, keep running this statement. Now right now notice that there's nothing that changes the status of this done, which means if I run this code, in fact I have set up what is called an infinite loop. I will just keep on getting questions from the computer, guess the number, no matter what I guess, so long as it can convert to an integer. And the reason this is happening is because not done, as you know, is always true, and this code runs by saying, okay, while this condition is true, keep doing whatever statements are coming in. Notice here the syntax, which means there's a colon over here, just like the if statement. There's also an indentation here. So every line that's within, every statement that's within this indentation is part of this while loop from this line onwards. So be careful about this. We'll talk about this later too. But as you can imagine, right now this loop keeps running because while not done is always true. Before we go forward, let's take a bit of a compare and contrast here. The basic structure of a while loop, like I said, is while some logical condition, which is a Boolean, so it ends up either true or false. While this condition stays true, keep doing these statements. Now, if you just think about it a little bit, you will realize that the block that is the closest to this in Scratch is in fact the repeat until block. But I want to highlight that this is similar, not the same. What is the difference between these two? Remember, repeat until also would repeat a piece of code until a condition here became true, whereas while statement is basically repeating a piece of code while this condition is true, which means until it kind of became false. So a little bit reverse. Now what it also means is that in order for us to enter the loop, in case of a while loop, in order for us to enter this condition, the statement must be true to start with. And I'll demonstrate this to you in an example. Let's say I go back here. Remember, my done here is false, which means while not done is true, and hence I enter the statement. On the other hand, let's say I set done to true. Now if I did done to true, not done is false, which means I will not even enter this loop. If I run this now, notice it does not ask me this question at all because this loop was not even entered, since this condition to start with was false, which means that, you know, we must make the condition true to start with, and while this condition stays true, we are going to keep repeating this piece of code. Now this is a very, very powerful tool that we have in our hands. We are going to see this in more detail as we go on in the next few videos. As before, if you think this mode of learning through activities is fun for you, do look at our website, do subscribe to our channel. There's a lot of content that might be of interest to you. Thank you so much. Take care.